Hello, my guest on The Man Behind the Politician is Member of Parliament for Ifutu in the Central Region and Minority Leader in the Ghanaian Parliament, the Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on your platform, sir.
It's a pleasure too. Let's take it right from the beginning. What is your earliest memory at home as a child?
Oh, it was one morning. I recall my mom had a long conversation with my grandma, and my mom got out of my grandma's bedroom, and I heard my grandma shouting, "Amba menyi moframa nunko, menyi moframa nunko." Meaning, don't take them away.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was crying. I didn't know what. And the next morning, I remember my mom woke my sister and I up, my late sister Maushi. And then I don't recall, but all I could remember was that we had alighted at a town, and then we went into a market. Later on, I got to know that market was a Akachi market. Mm-hmm. And then we met a beautiful old lady with some beautiful eyes, very fair, short, sitting behind wares. She was selling dried fish. And she immediately saw us. She ran to us and hugged us, carried us. Then she got ready, closed, and then we joined a car and then went to another town. So there, I recall my mom saying to us that that's our dad's mom, mm-hmm. our grandmother. Mm-hmm. Well, then the next morning, we didn't see our mother again. And then I remember crying all through, walking the path trying to locate, mm-hmm. because I remember where we walked from, mm-hmm. the lorry station, I presume, and I recall my grandma's house. There were cemetery, tombs all around.
It's on your father's side?
Yes.
Okay.
In Chame.
Mm-hmm. In Chame.
And then there was a church building right there. That's a Catholic church. So that I remember.
How old were you when all this was happening?
Well, if I calculate, mm-hmm. I think that was when I was, I should think I was born in 78, and my junior brother, the one who comes right after me, 1984. So at the time my mom took us to the village, I think from my calculation, Daddy and her had divorced. Mm-hmm. And so I presume that was 82.
Okay.
Because we're there for like 2 years, 1.5 years. So I think towards the end of 81. So I should be three. Getting into my year 4. Yeah, because I remember my day nursery days also.
This was
in Winneba.
In Winneba, okay.
Yes, I remember, mm-hmm. before we go into Chame, I remember faintly, my mommy sending me to the daycare, the day nursery, just across the street.
Okay.
We called it Abasraba Day Nursery. Mm-hmm. I remember faintly. Yeah, so if my calculation is right, then I was 3 getting to my 4th year.
It's quite a long time back.
Yeah, so that I remember. And then I also remember Grandma Dajezo carrying us. So after the crying, he carried us and then carried me. Mm-hmm. About my sister Maushi of blessed memory, she was okay. So I was the one who was a crying baby because I missed mommy's breast milk.
Yes.
Yeah, because they used to tease me, call me Kwamena Enufunchen, Infante. you know, the side of the
yes,
breast.
on the breast. That's where
you are always
all the time.
You know, choking there.
It be so.
Yeah.
Where was your mother from?
My mom is a Fanti woman.
Fanti. Okay.
Half Fanti, half Efutu, because she herself, you know. And then there's also some Akwamu part of my mom.
Okay.
Because our ancestry moved all the way from Akwemu to Otublohum, then Ojobi, Winneba, and then they moved finally to Ekropon. That's my mother's side. But my mother's father is from Winneba and Mankwazi.
Okay.
Yes, Mankwazi is just around, you know, some 5-6 kilometers from main Winneba town, you know. So they are just the same family.
And your father's from Chairman?
My dad's mom is from Chairman, and my dad's dad is from Nyakonokwe.
Okay.
Just, you know, across, you know, but currently in district-wise, Chairman, that's Pop's mom's village, comes under Keta.
Okay.
And then Grandpa Togbi Goshiazra, his village comes under Akache.
Okay.
South, yes. So back to the story.
Yeah. So this was a movement. You're moving from where to where?
From Winneba to
Volta region.
Volta.
Why?
Yeah. Well, I think this issue of divorce. I think when, according to my mom, when the divorce came, well, from the story she tells me, it wasn't really a divorce per se that they are sat down to, you know, dissolve the marriage. I think early days of instability, Dad was in Kumasi, had been transferred to Kumasi.
What was he doing?
He was agric. He was working with the Ministry of Agric, and he's an agric mechanization department. Yeah, that's what he tells me. That he was a SPO, Senior Principal Officer. That's what he told me. And then I think, according to mom,
what did mom do? What was mom's job?
Well, I think according to mommy, Daddy, because they transferred him from Winneba to Kumasi, you know, sometime month he hasn't come. And then one day, one of my aunties said, if Ukunomba, if you on a brabasaba, in other words, leave the marital home and come. Mommy tells me that she always regrets that, because what she realized later was that my auntie was also having similar problem in her marriage, because the husband was also away from her, never divorced. And then so sometimes she tells, when she used that to advise people, that look, when you have issues with your marriage, don't listen to people. Because mommy tells me that my auntie asked her, go and pack. So she actually assisted her, and then they packed to the family house.
No, she didn't pack out of
No. And then, you know, well, so I think in Chiame, Grandma was with us, and she was a fetish priest, a Dajezo. Her cult was a very respected cult. And I remember in our early days in Chiame, in the evenings, you know, the women will come there, the other priests will come, they perform the Agbaja.
Yes.
You know, and all. And she would always dress us, get me her clothes.
Traditional,
Yeah, traditional one, you know. And because I used to wee a lot, Grandma would not change my cloth. But Mausi's own was always being changed. So sometimes to be smelling, say, she wants me to stop.
Exactly.
You know, peeing on the bed at night. And
you didn't enjoy Chame? You enjoy Chame?
In part. I really got pampered in Nyakonokwe when I went to Grandpa. And I'll tell you, so in Chame, Grandma did something very profound. Our first Sunday, when the Catholic church, which was just a minute walk from our house, she took Maushi and I to the Catholic priest.
For what?
That he should take us.
The traditional priestess?
Yes.
Why do you think she did that?
I don't know, but she just took us. You know, Mijo, I remember, I still remember faintly, you know, Dada saying, Mijo, because we were speaking Fanti.
Exactly.
She spoke Tree because she had lived, I mean, in the Akwamu area, the Kwewu region, you know, because the husband was a a farmer.
Yeah.
And then she herself was a trader, so she was moving. She could speak Tree fluently.
All right.
So she took us to the Catholic priest. And in fact, it was a Catholic priest who eventually took Mausi and I to school the following day or so. And then
maybe that's what
we started. So I still remember our classroom. I remember we walking. I was put in the first classroom, and then Mausi went 2 classrooms away from me. Then eventually, I think my sister got unwell. But before getting unwell, Dada was taking us to the farm on weekends. You know, we walked to her farm.
What was she growing?
No, I remember. What is the name of Santum crying in Santum? What is it? Sweet potato.
Sweet potato. That's what she was growing.
Yes,
okay.
yes. So sweet potato and cassava. Yes, cassava.
Okay.
You know, and then during certain seasons she would grow maize. So we're seeing maize, and then sweet potato, and then cassava. Yes.
So you're a young farmer.
Yes. We'll sit down
and watch.
We were not doing anything though.
Okay.
Dada herself will use the whole to be. She wouldn't get us into doing it. No, I don't remember doing it. But when we finish, she would carry everything and bring us back home. It was just 2 of us and her. I think I was giving her a hard time because one time, you know, every morning before she leaves for Akachi, you know, her deity will be there. She had this nice, in her room. It was a chamber and hall. So we were sleeping in the bedroom with her. But she had a small corner where the deity was. And then she would pour a libation, pray, and all. And then she would leave fish and some other food, whether yaka or something. Yeah. And then some fish, dry fish, and all. Then there were times I were hungry. And then I'll tell Mausi, I'll call her P. Say, no, that Bobo bro, Debbie. So one day, I remember, in the afternoon, I defied my sister's order. You know, there was a place we were supposed to go and eat. Then in the afternoon, after school. Then when Dada comes in the evening, she will cook that plate with the soup or whatever, then we eat. But in the afternoon, the woman, I think something happened, and I was hungry.
Yep.
So, and then I think we had some santum, sweet potato.
Sweet potato.
Yeah, so, and then it was only the sweet potato one. Then we shared. But it wasn't okay, no fish, nothing. So I went to take the fish.
From the deity?
Yes, just, I just lifted it and ate it.
Did she find out?
Then, well, I'm telling you what happened. Then Dada was coming. You know, when Dada is coming, we can see her from afar, walking with the tray, or sometimes with that pompwa, coming. So P told me that Dada Rebo, then I had to run away, find a place to hide. So the neem trees that had been packed for fire, firewood, she's just cut them, for firewood, and then I went to hide there. It was only my sister who knew
where you were,
where I was. And Dada came, and Dada was asking, Komiale, and the P would not tell her. So it became a big issue. And I was there. And then eventually Dada became alarmed. Then they went to Big the Gongo. Lost. I remember faintly that then the Gongo Bita will come and stand there and say, come in. Most of you, that Jesus, I've forgotten the law. I've forgotten the law language. But they will say the view. They did that. It wasn't happening. I was still there. And then my sister will come and say, I have to pray.
Come out.
Junior, pray. My sister was calling me. Then may her soul rest in peace. I miss her. I don't want to get emotional. So P will come and then say, I have to pray. Junior, pray. And come out. I said, no, man can't say that. Then she'll come back. Then eventually they escalated it. So they called the fetish priestess and all the priests in town. Because grandma was a big woman, that is all. So they started the invocation. And I think one of the women, started chanting and dancing and moving. and then did a sign, and I was watching them from where the corner did a sign saying that I'm not lost, I'm right within. So they continued. Then Dada became relieved because she was crying. And then she became relieved. And then they continued the incantation. Then the woman came to my spot. Then the famous phrase, "Komi ele nakama." I still remember.
He's in the firewood.
Yeah, he's like "Komi ele nakama." So the grandma came and pulled me. I got out and then said, "Oh, she won't beat me." And I remember they all left. So I think...
Did she keep her word though? She said she won't
she didn't beat me. She didn't beat me. So I think eventually my sister was somewhere. And I recall it was deteriorating. Grandma would not take her to the hospital. She was praying. Then eventually, P could not walk. She was crawling. And when she crawled, she fell on her side. So Grandma got alarmed. And that very night, carried P to the nearby clinic across the street. Then when we got there, and they were there the whole night. So the next morning, and yeah. Oh.
She meant a lot to you.
Oh, she was my only sister. And the next morning, then I heard Dada saying, "Oh, Mausi eku," and then
wow.
You saw a lot of people there, and they tied my sister. You know, they rubbed her, and rubbed her, and I saw P. And just by outside the house, then they buried P. They dug, and then they buried my sister. And then, so Dada sent me to Grandpa, you know, in his village. You know, we walked. So he took me to Nyakonokwe. I went to Grandpa. And I lived with him. There was no school. So Grandpa was taking me to hunting. Midnight he goes to set his trap, and then he pampered me a lot. So he would always say, "Oh, you know, I look like his father." So he sees his father Apetokbo in me. And so he was taking me to hunting, and then I recall sometimes we'll go and see some fair of some grass cutter, and then you say, "Oh, that is not for him." We see the blood and everything. They say, "Oh, the grass cutter missed the way." So, and there will be times I will go and meet a grass cutter dead along the way, but somehow caught by his trap. Then we say that is not for him.
Why would he say a thing like that?
Then he will leave it.
That is not for him.
Yes, because he says he knows the path of those that will come and eat his food from another
guy's place,
another friend. You know, so he will leave it. He won't touch it.
Yeah.
But when we go and his has caught one, then we'll pick it. You know, and then he wasn't taking me for, you know, except the hunting. And then we'll come, I will lay by his side in his room. I think he had a wife there, but the woman was not too fond of me because I was always with grandma, grandpa.
Taking the time from him.
Yeah, and then I remember also that every evening there was a performance, you know, cultural, the dancing, and then the woman would dance and come and sit on his lap, and then they would leave, and then I would be with him. And then there was a woman there who could speak Fanti.
Really?
In the village.
Okay.
So she was speaking Fanti with me,
Mm-hmm.
and then I always say that I want to go to my mother and blah blah blah. So I think we were there one day, and then we saw some women coming, and I said that was my mother.
You recognized her?
Yes, I did. I think they came. So they had a long meeting, and I saw grandma too, for a long time. So I saw grandma, and then I saw some of my aunties in Winneba with my mom, and then my grandmothers grand aunties from Winneba. So it's like a big celebration.
Yeah.
So the whole period, I was with my mom. Then they were having series of discussions. I didn't know what they were discussing. So I think towards the evening, mommy said she wanted to use the toilet. Then I said, oh, there's a KVIP, So I walked there. So when I was going with her, then she told me in Fanti that she wanted to take me, but my grandmother said no. So
your paternal grandmother said
yes.
no. Okay.
So that is what they were discussing. So I actually showed my mother the footpath to Abo. So we used because I knew I was walking with my grandpa at night.
She carried you away?
Yeah, midnight. We ran away. She took me away a long time.
Whoa.
Oh, come on. We moved in the village, and then I showed her. She didn't know anywhere. So I told her that I knew.
You aided and abetted your mother?
Yes.
In your own kidnap?
We moved, we walked through grandpa's farm, and then eventually we got to Abo. And then there was an auntie from Winneba who had married an in-law man, and then they had a house in Abo. So mommy took me there, and then at dawn they came. Grandma from Chame, my daddy's mom.
They found out about the escape?
Yes, we had escaped. So they came.
Okay.
And then they were fighting with them that they should
give you back,
look for me. But we were in the room. But my mother's cousins did not betray. They said they've not seen, so they suspect we were gone to Winneba. So my grandma was shouting, and then left. And as soon as she left, I remember that my mommy's cousin came into the room and told my mom, that she's not too sure whether her mom would allow us to go to Winneba if she gets to know that we're in the room. So we have to move. So when my mom heard the cocks crow, they moved this, some stones, opened the door, and then the minute we got to outside, cross the street, I remember that there was a truck, this arrow glass, shouting Accra, 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 Accra. Then
away
we jumped in and then all the way to Accra. And then I think when we got to Accra, my mommy took me we went to her cousin B at the children's hospital area, and then they shaved my hair and all that. And then I remember, because I was practicing what my grandma had taught me, in our Lord, when you are coming to eat, you take some and put it on the diet to honor the gods, the ancestors. So grandpa was teaching me all those culture and things. And then so I was doing it, and then we are from a method. So I had to say,
don't do that.
And then I was saying, no, talk me that.
You have to give
so
to
grandpa will mention some names, then you put some
and
down.
feed for them, you feed them.
Yeah, you feed them, They were not enthused at all.
At all, I can imagine.
And then when we got to Winneba, it continued for some time. I remember, my auntie, my mom's cousin took me to school, STC, to start the KG. And I recall I was always doing that. Then they stopped me. Eventually, I think I stopped. And then I could still speak that not fluently. But something happened in school, and then they were like teasing you that, I want to follow Kunyimpa and that kind of nonsense. I think it made me call in. So I remember our teacher Mrs. Amuzu. He would always speak Ewe with me. So I deliberately would not want to speak because I wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
And then especially, and one thing I hated was introduction. When a teacher comes and they said everybody should mention a name. You know, so initially I was using the Afetogbo.
Okay.
But because people will be laughing and say, oh, you are an Ewe, and because you're living in a certain community. So I dropped the Afetogbo. And I was only maintaining the Afenyo. All right. And then eventually kept it like that. So my first time of having another opportunity to hear the Anlo, the Ewe language, was when I went to St. Augustine's.
For your secondary education?
Yes. And then people were speaking freely. So I attempted. And then my tongue could not roll. And I said, I attempted to do that because I felt I could understand.
Course, you started
Sure. Because I thought I could speak back. Then and I said, oh, when I was a kid, I could speak. They couldn't believe me. They said, but you are Ewe, you cannot speak Ewe. Another form of embarrassment. I feel very bad when people say you can't speak Ewe. I feel very bad about that. Because as a kid in Winneba, and then also, you know, the dragnet fishermen, you know, there was an area, they say, hey, when in Winneba, they say, and then they say, oh, I want to find out one
heads.
Yes.
Executioners.
Yes. What they call a drew what they call a epo. So it was like, why am I, you know, that kind of thing.
But was there a link between Anglos and people from Winneba? Because you said you had...
Oh, there are a lot of...
Is it the fishing?
Yeah, the fishing. We have Anglo people in Winneba. They are at a place called Akosia Village.
Okay.
They're there. I mean, the main group, they are about 1,500.
It's quite a
sizable number.
Yeah, sizable
and
community.
They've been there for over 150 years. Yes. It's been generation after generation.
So they speak Anglo, they speak Efututu?
No.
Or they are just on their own?
Yes, they speak Anglo and they speak broken Fanti. Yes, but, you know...
They've been there for a long time.
I have my house there, right there, you know. So...
this your time
because of
Chame,
that experience.
Do you think, how much do you think it has affected or impacted your life? Those early times that you were in Chame, the experience you had, the loss of your dear sister, Maushi. By the way, you called her P. Why do you call her P?
I don't know. I think that Precious, you know, she
had...
That
was her English name?
Yeah, she was Alberta.
Okay.
My mom named her after her kid sister. But then mommy had a code for all of us.
What was your code?
Oh, me, Papi, Junior. She should call me Papi, Junior, you know, Papa, you know, she has,
pet names.
You know, pet names for us, you know, and then, you know, Maushi would be P, you know, so she was just petting us in her own way. And then, question, well, did being in Chame have any impact?
Early 5, 6, 7 years.
It would be difficult for me to pinpoint to a particular thing. But if for nothing at all, I think the Catholic upbringing, the teachings of the Catholic Church.
And your grandma sent you to the church?
Yes, and stuck with me. Because when I came to Winneba, I still remember, though it was from, I'm coming from a Methodist home, I would still walk all the way to the Catholic Church from Abasraba. The Catholic Church is in Donkoyim. It's quite a distance. So I would still walk. And I remember when I came back from, my mom was a trader, selling Tom Brown, wheat, bread. When my mommy carries me the Tom Brown to go and sell, do you know what I was doing? I would walk all the way to the Catholic Church, put the Tom Brown down, face the Mary statue, do the sign of cross, and do the Hail Mary, okay? And then do the sign of cross again and carry that faith. So if indeed you're talking about childhood impact, I think what grandma did, taking me to the Catholic church and then a Catholic school, I saw that as the only thing, because they were stopping me from putting food on Anyingba, you know, saying that. So it's like, okay, You people don't like that one. And I remember morning devotion in the house every Monday, hymns. Grandma, I came to meet grandma, you know, Mami Ekwenchua. Every morning, there was morning devotion. Then the friends say, Abrofo, and that kind of shake hands and then talk about love, the need to be together and all.
It stayed with you?
Yeah, of course. I still remember sometimes when I sleep, I hear the echoes. There was a day in crisis. And so sometimes people discount some of these things about ancestry. One of the days, I was it in the ADB crisis or what? I felt I'd been set up, and I felt my whole career was melting down, and there was no helper. So that period, 2015, was a period of prayer, because in this politics, when you are set up and you don't have any means to explain yourself, you who is a victim becomes a culprit. And I recall mommy coming to me and saying that, Papa, let's pray. So I was in my prayer room and I was praying every midnight in my prayer room alone. Praying. And I think one of the occasions, I heard the echo of that childhood grandma singing the hymn. And this song, I was singing it, people didn't know. It was an echo, childhood echo. The song, Jay-Z, no so kun yezen denara. Oh yeah, denara ibe zihim onya me bo kwama. Oh chere no se sum yehu denara chere no jezini chere no oh aze chino abe. This was one of the songs that Mami Ekwenchua grandma
would sing.
You know, I say my great grandma, because Mami Ekwenchua is my mommy's grandma. So that is great grandma. Right. And it was one of those midnight prayers
that you heard the song.
That I heard this, and it was like the whole room was filled with people
singing the song.
And Mami was singing.
Wow.
And I recalled, and it was not only that one. There was another one.
Same song?
No, another song. The one I want to remember. I'm sure by the time we're done with our interview, there were two.
And what do the words mean to you? I mean, what's a rough and ready translation?
Because it coincided with the situation I found myself.
What was it? What are the words? What are the words saying?
Jay-Z, you know, that you, man of faith, rely on your God. In times of crisis, maintain your faith in Him. By sunrise, your relief would come. Your Redeemer would save you. Jay-Z, you man of faith.
Yes.
Keep relying. Chir is Fante. Rely on Him.
Indeed.
You know, hold on to it.
It's a song of hope.
Hope. And indeed, that was a moment of my very low. And that song came. I'm still trying to recollect the other one. There were two songs. And the whole prayer room was filled as if it was filled with people.
How did you feel when you heard those songs?
Very nostalgic. You know, very chilling. You know,
Did you think it was supernatural?
Well, Kafui, I don't want us to go into a religious class.
I don't mind.
But I've experienced my God. And I can testify His wondrous deeds. Time will not permit, but I've seen a lot. So when I see crisis, it doesn't shake me. Because I have experienced my maker.
What did he look like, or what did he feel like?
Not
everything you can say.
All I want to say in this interview is that let's hold on to our faith. If you are a Muslim, you are a Christian, whatever aspect of the divinity you believe in, stay with it and serve it well. Because the omnipotent God is of unlimited dimensions. Any part you hold will serve you and serve you well. You are African faith, you are Catholic, you are Methodist. I remember when we were kids, one of my aunties, Mrs. Achampon of blessed memory, I remember Methodist church. Somebody had collapsed and the person had been pronounced dead. I remember they went to the vestry, and that woman is a woman of faith. I mean, of all my aunties, you know, Mrs. Achampo, oh Jesus, she prayed, and the hymns, she prayed, and the person got up in Methodist church.
You saw it.
I was a little boy, you know, the vestry area that, you know, there was an adjoining room. They put the person there, they took the person there. You see, the woman said, one more hospital. They won't let them take the person away. What I don't remember was whether the person was a man or a woman. But I remember that somebody had collapsed in the church, and they said, Wewu.
He's dead.
Dead. And they said, no, the woman, Mrs. Achampo, my cousin, Ebo Achampon's mother. The other son is called Yoko. You know, Mrs. Achampo.
The power of prayer.
Yes. So I've experienced it. I've had my very low moments. I remember at a point I was saddled with debts. Businesses had collapsed and bank pressure on me. One evening, I just walked to the Achimota forest. I live at Abelengpe. I walked across the street and prayed all night. I got back midnight. And when I slept, certain things were told me. And when I woke up, I was wondering what that was. But after 10 years, the things played, and I heard a voice telling me, I told you. Because I now started another business that made me pay that bank loan that all other partners had even abandoned me. I wasn't the sole shareholder. I wasn't the sole director. But when the crisis came, my colleagues were overwhelmed. And because I was the executive director, it was like I was the face of the company. And I managed and I prayed. And the very business that was shown me in a dream, after 10 years, I started doing that business. A friend just introduced me by accident, and I started that business. And I remember, again, that when profit started coming, and I was investing, a voice sharply told me once, go to your workout. Go
and pay your debts.
Go and pay your debts. I've experienced God, and I pray for strength to be able to elevate the higher being Afenyo-Markin, so that I serve my maker well and serve humanity. Because all the things that I've seen tells me one thing: have faith. If you make a mistake, we are fallible beings. If you make a mistake, admit it. If you fail, gather yourself, move on again. Don't let the guilt of your wrongdoing crush you into submission, then you get stagnated there, and then you fall into full depression. Because your God would always start something new in you. And that's the experience I've had.
Did you have this experience with God when you were in St. Augustine's?
Of course, St. Augustine's
What was that
was
time
super.
like? What was that time like?
Well, I will start from childhood. You know, when I came back to Winneba, I think as a little boy, my mother's brother, Uncle Nakwesi, was taking me to prayer meetings. He would come for me in the evening. That time there was a church, Redemption Our Faith. And then he was one of the members. So it was an all-night prayer. So I had the Holy Spirit baptism. We call it in charismatic terms Holy Ghost baptism.
How did it work?
I did it in my early days as a little boy in primary school. Well, I think my uncle had taken me to one of their prayer sessions, and then they were praying and they were praying for me. So I remember they said, oh, it was an Holy Ghost baptism night. You know, so at a point, my uncle and his friends, this man, Reverend Ivor Wilson, he's in Winneba, Triumph Bible Church. He was part of the team. And then they laid hands on me and they were praying, speaking in tongues. Then in the process, you know, I lost my tongue, and then I certain words. Yes, okay. I mean, that was my experience. Then along the way, I think it got lost. I couldn't do it again. Then when we went to St. Augustine's, my friend, who is a medical doctor now, Ibn Akpanu, and then we had another friend, Ben Aite. We met some seniors who were charismatic, and then they took us into the charismatic group. So we're fasting and praying, fasting. We'll go to Kivas Gardens and be praying. And then I remember one of the guys said, oh, we should be praying about our marriage. We're SS1 boys. Marriage, what is about marriage? And then, you know, and then pray about your future. We didn't understand all of that. So I think there was one day, you know, then somebody came to do preaching. And then so he will leave us with a gift. Those who don't have the Holy Ghost baptism must have. So they started, you know, Holy Spirit, moving now, and make my life whole again. Spirit, move over me. Spirit, move over me. Holy Spirit, you know, it moved, you know. Then, you know, then there was another popular Caris song. Oh, it has to come. Another, you know.
So you were soaked in the whole.
Yes, and then thing. I got the Holy Spirit baptism again. You know, in St. Augustine. So that was it, and then eventually we finished school. We completed school.
Did you know you were going to be a lawyer when you were in St. Augustine's?
Well, I had written something in my book. I wanted to be a lawyer, become a businessman, and then after I have become rich as a businessman, become a judge.
Okay.
As for politics and leadership, it got in by accident. But after...
So you wrote it in your book?
Yes, I still have the book. Yes,
you have the book?
Yes.
Where you wrote your dreams?
Yes. So
is it for those who don't have this habit, what would you tell them?
You should. I mean,
write things down.
You should have your own life blueprint, and you have to have faith in it. I used to write poems, used to keep a diary, though from a very poor home, but I had the book, exercise book. I'll write the date and write events and all that.
Why did you want to be a judge?
I think I was doing government history and literature, and I think I got carried away by the plays, you know, Merchant of Venice, for instance. I think it was Merchant of Venice that really got me into becoming a lawyer and then later a judge, because obviously the path I was taking it was to lead me into law.
Yes.
Yeah, and my mom wanted me to be a teacher.
Why?
He said, well, that was the short route, because when you're done with school, if you go to teacher's tree, that's how she calls it. If you go to teacher's tree, you get allowance.
Straight up.
So
they're paying you while you're in school.
Exactly. You know, I said, no. You know, and then when I said I won't go to teacher's tree, her friends will say, now, it's Kenyan, so why do you not kasa?
These are too big, there's no money at home.
So after secondary school, I left home, you know, came to hustle in Accra. You know, after December, January, I was in Accra, you know, patching with some friends in a hostel, trying to survive.
Is there anything you learned in St. Augustine that has changed the way you see the world?
Quite a lot. One, my faith in God fortified. St. Augustine, there was competition, and I learned that even in competition, you must keep your focus. It's not the fall of your competitor that makes you a winner. All right? Because I was winning awards with just a mark.
Academic awards.
Yes. You know, my mates were rich boys, people from good homes. And I must say that my friends did not look down upon me because I was from a poor home. In fact, all my life, my friends who were from well-endowed homes with parents who had money assisted me. They opened their doors. I didn't experience discrimination. In fact, from my JHS days, in fact, let me go back to after going to St. Augustine. It took my friends to come together to talk to their parents that one of their friends has had distinction, but the parent do not have money to pay his fees. So my fees was actually a contribution by Mr. Ekem, Mr. Ben Mensah of blessed memory, and the Akpanu family. They supported my stepdad because there was no money. And you know, Winneba, we have the civil service enclave where we call it low cost. The bungalow areas where the civil servants are, and then we in the Inshona area, you know, So my friends really aided, you know, when even in St. Augustine's, you know, Humcho, you know.
Yes.
When it comes, you know, they would invite you.
Were you getting Humcho?
I couldn't have had Humcho. But I think my friends were also calculating. They were being strategic.
Okay.
I had the head, and they had the pockets, deep pockets. So I think
partnership.
Having grown up now and looking back, they felt, okay, we needed Alex.
Yes.
You know, and then I would also teach them.
That's all.
And then they would have to keep me close.
So it worked for everybody.
Yeah. So I'm now getting the picture that they were also being smart. You know, and then at Trade Fair, you know, Accra House, I lived there at Trade Fair. And then we also, when I came hustling, and then I also joined another.
What you were hustling? What kind of hustle were you hustling?
Oh, well, somebody may not believe it, but I did some small meets, you know, Tema Station, Labadi Tema Station.
That was your route?
Yes, we did that small.
Okay. And
then we had the chance to do attachment at STC.
Okay.
You know, they were paying some Mr. Asuka Nkansa was my boss. Mr. Asuka Nkansa, yes. He took care of me. He adopted me as his son. He loved me. He was teaching me. He was a marketing manager. And
did you have any stubborn customers when you were a mate? I mean, did you have any rough times where people refused to pay and disrespect you and things like that?
Oh, in the morning, there was something that I didn't like. I don't know how to describe it on set, but you know, early morning, where people
haven't brushed their teeth,
you know, cough and that thing, Charlie.
You didn't like it?
Oh, Jesus. And then they would do it.
Right in front of the mate.
Oh, God. Yes.
And what was going through your mind when these things happened?
Oh, yeah. Oh, Jesus. You know, Charlie. And let me tell you, at Labadi, just across Accra House, oh, Jesus. You know, at the hostel, the girls were dating rich boys.
Yes.
And those days, there was no mobile phone and stuff like that.
No.
So, we the boys, this is what we did anyway. So, if you are a chisel, you
don't want to spend.
You don't want to spend. The girls will cook their stew, their soup and all. And Kafui, believe me if I tell you this. We could afford kinky, but not fried fish.
Rocky.
No, Labadi, when you buy kinky and you can't buy fish, they give you only the red pepper. You know, the black one has some...
The black one is nice.
Some oil small that
beautiful.
you can, you can enjoy.
Yeah.
So if you did, then you hey come, hey kenam no town habo shito wahabo.
Just
no jejemeni in your best can
you. Loud like that.
Okay, so we'll come. The one will come. We'll tell the girls that give us some stew.
Contribution.
Those who will give us, when you are inside with your boyfriend and you are another one comes, we block the gate.
Of course.
And we say that you are not in.
Not around.
There's no mobile phone. So we block. But if you don't give us, when there's somebody inside and another say, oh, she's inside, then you'll be hearing the there was there was always
drama all the time.
Yeah, I remember. I can't mention names,
yes,
but
please
I remember there are some big those days. There were some big names.
This is like the 90s. 2000.
No, 99.
99.
99,
yeah.
2000.
Big guys.
Yeah, 98, 99.
Okay.
There were some very big
PNDC guys.
No. Big what?
No, PNDC.
Yeah, I beg you. Don't take me into trouble.
98, 99.
No, that was not PNDC. We had transition. We came into democracy in 92.
Oh.
Yeah, 92
NDC.
Elections, so 93.
So big NDC.
No. This is supposed to be, don't let us go in.
We'll go.
But I'm saying that
big
very
guys,
big boys.
Big guys. Businessmen.
So
Big
boys. Let's say big boys.
Big boys.
Who I still know. Some have died. And
they rest in peace.
God bless their soul. So they will come. And then there were Ivorians, Sierra Leoneans, Guineans, and then our own Ghanaian folks. So if you give us stew,
then we can block.
And then sometimes when we close from classes at graduate school, the ladies always sit in their taxi. They take they charter, they are dropping.
Yes.
So if you watch me, Kwamena, for me to walk all the way to GBC, graduate school was behind GBC. You walk through that Nungu.
What graduate school was this?
Graduate School of Management.
Okay.
GNTC building, just by it.
Okay. What were you studying there?
Oh, marketing.
Okay, all right.
We're there. So if you watch me, for me to walk all the way to equip, sometimes you have to go and,
exactly,
equip.
I know equip.
Equip.
Busy internet, yeah.
Busy internet.
Yeah,
you walk all the way to equip. Or sometimes if you are lucky, then you walk to GBC. You cross the street. That time the Sankara, I think the overpass was being constructed.
Exactly so.
So there was a diversion.
Yes.
So sometimes your surest bet is to go to equip, cross the street, and then get a trotro. And these girls will bring their taxi. Then you won't give us lift. No. So, you alone, you are sitting at the back.
Charter the whole taxi.
And then you won't say, Alex, join. So if you don't mind us, okay, no problem. But me, I should be your watchman. No.
Let them go through.
No, they sometimes we'll cross the street, sit, and then when the man comes with a car,
let him go.
Then some of them, they will drop their drivers and then send the driver. When you are sending the driver, we'll block you. Then we'll say, we're inside. So, you'll be there and then you see two men fighting. Some of the men were gentlemen. When they go and see another man, they will come out
quietly.
And then you see them driving their car. But those who were treating us well, we'll cover them.
Of course.
We'll stand there and then sometimes we'll say, and then we'll let you cross. There was another gate. Tell them to cross, come, keep the man in the room, and then they'll come out and then come and sit in the car, chatter, and then they will move. The man would, then the other guy is in the room. So we'll be there, then then we'll go and knock and say, auntie Abba, so.
What are some of the important lessons you learned outside of the classroom?
Well, we should be able to share. I mean, the classroom does not really offer anything per se. It is the street that gets you the experience, how to bond, how to share, how not to rely only on your talent. Because you alone cannot make it.
No.
I remember when I was at Accra and I landed a job at Ghana Post. This roll-on, sure.
Yes.
You know, I could afford because I was working. When eventually God took me out. And before, we're talking about revelation and prayer. Somebody in the hostel dreamed that I was sharing poster stamp to many people. And nobody understood. Not knowing I was going to land a job at the post office. So, and I remember before I got to post office, Charlie, the poverty levels were high, you know.
How high?
You are studying. My uncle Markin was supporting me small. And then I was
Is that what the Markin is added to Afenyo?
No, but I was named after my my maternal grandpa. So I had to combine.
Yes.
Now I was in a hostel and I had to go and pray. You know, the labor trade fair area, you know the lagoon there, the mosquitoes there.
Giants, eh?
Very giant. Sometimes, Kafui, you'll be praying. What do you want? All blood.
Whoa.
Oh, come on.
They were sucking you dry.
Oh. Charlie, we've seen a bit. But the grace has been sufficient. So, we got the job and we would have to now share food, roll on. So one roll on, all of us were using it.
How many of you were sharing this one roll on?
The boys, I mean quite a lot. And then you know the double bunk beds. You know, Kafui, you want to know this one?
I do.
Okay. Viewers, forgive me, but Kafui wants us to share a real life story.
Real life.
So in the hostel, double bunk beds. So somebody gets his girlfriend and you have to turn, face the wall, and they will be
While they are busy.
Be busy. You know, sometimes it's not only one.
You can't leave the room while he brings his girlfriend.
It's late.
Okay.
Yes, you know, and then you have to face, you know.
I'm
not to say I was a saint, but I never did that because I was still a virgin, you know, and I had not tasted a woman. It was God, prayer. Don't be doing that.
But were you not curious about the noises?
Well, your thing will wake up, but what can you do? I mean, it was creating some discomfort.
I can imagine a lot.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, it wasn't just. I remember one experience. There was this Sierra Leonean guy. I won't mention his name.
Please don't.
He was with a certain church, and the church was sponsoring them. So he nearly led me into temptation. And in the night, I think it was Easter. Then he brought this girlfriend. They were doing it every day. Then Sunday morning.
The church-sponsored guy?
Yes. Oh.
Okay.
They did it from the Friday. They did it. I was in the room. They were kicking them, making noise because I had not experienced it.
Upper bank or lower bank?
No, they were down there.
Okay. You were
and
up.
Then I was
in the corner.
There were times that I would be up.
Okay.
There would be times I would be down. But on this occasion, they were doing it. So I must confess, I tend to spy how they do it because I had not done that before.
Some education.
Or I was watching
Education.
what they were doing, and that's okay. Then he did something amazing. Sunday morning, they did it twice. Then after that, they went to bath, and they dressed, wore his tie, you know, his white, you know, and then he took his
Bible.
Not his Bible. They don't use Bible.
Okay.
They use another
book.
Holy book.
Okay.
You know the church I'm referring to.
So no, I don't know.
Oh, if I say he wore a white shirt, a nice tie, short sleeve,
yes,
black trousers,
I know,
and another holy book.
They move in twos.
Well, you know, and then he and the girl, they went to church. So I said, So when he came, he said, but you've done all these things, and then you have the courage to say you are going to church, and then when you go,
what did he say?
He said, but God knows we are not perfect. Hey, Alex, you are a small boy. You are growing. You come, you know.
Experiences.
So that was Accra for you, and then eventually found my way into Kivas, to Buckingham, and
you went abroad to study law?
Yes, I did my LLB in Buckingham, LLB in management.
If you were not a lawyer, what do you think you would have done?
Well, what took me to the law school was an incident at La Palm. You know, when I was at Kivas, along the way, I took advantage of the Kufuor's privatization initiative to incubate entrepreneurs. And I started doing my business. You know, along the way, I bought a Mercedes, bought a BM, you know, and all. So there was this day, I was driving on the South Labadi Road towards La Palm. And you know that U-turn at Regimano? Kufuor had bought a Nissan Sunny for civil servants. So, you know, the woman crossed me, but I managed to avoid a crash. And she got out. She was trying to apologize, but I was very upset. So I must admit that I was also overreacting to the incident. Then she had 2 kids in the car. I should give them 8 and 10. One said, oh, our uncle is a lawyer. The other said, oh, our grandmother is a judge. So if it goes to court, you will lose. I just stopped, felt very bad, drove off. So that day when I got back to the hostel, I think I felt very sad. I wept or something. I said, no. Charlie, put money aside. I have to go back to school. Because I deferred at UCC. I was doing BCom. Because I was an art student doing accounting the first time. By the way, I entered UCC as a professional. UCC had 3 or 4 streams of admission. You enter either A-level or mature or SS or professional. Professional is with your other qualification, with your SS, you've done a professional course. And going to Kivas, I had my SSE and I done the marketing. So they combined it and made me to start level 200.
Oh, so you took out 1 year.
Yes, so I didn't start level 100 like my colleagues. So though they had gone to university ahead of me, we were all back to the same level.
Yeah.
And they gave me
professional admission.
That program, you know, BCom.
Yes.
And I was struggling.
Bachelor of Commerce.
Because of the accounting. So I had deferred. And I was focused on my business, making money. So that thing got me back to school.
What were you into? What was your business?
Well, I was running my courier services. I was also taking jobs at the ministry. You know, Kufuor's time, the literacy house, I think there was a World Bank support where they were building a lot of schools. You know, Rawlings' time, there was this thing about school and the trees, where I think Rawlings got some World Bank support earlier. They were constructing some wooden structure and then you fill in with the block.
Right.
But when Kufuor came, there was this 6 classroom block thing and then the money was there. So if you do the bond, insurance, they will give you mobilization. And that time, Kufuor's time too, at that time, I think the DCs were very powerful. They were having a lot of budgets, you know, to award. So I got into that, building the classroom blocks. And then I got Unibank. Unibank gave me facility, you know, at the time. And then my stepdad was a mason. So it was quite easy. He and his friend, Accra too, were helping, you know. So we were good getting, because you do it, you build, and then
they pay
you get paid. You know, if you do the certificate, you know, they would pay. Maybe maximum 2 weeks, you get your check. I still remember.
So you were able to pay for your education abroad?
Yes, I paid. I didn't go to school on scholarship.
Why did you go to the UK?
I think at the time, what drove me to UK too was the fact that at the time, Ghana has stopped LLB as a first degree. Legon, for instance, you know, you would have to do a first degree before you do the law as a post-first degree program. Because they were having issue with the SSS. They felt that the SSS were not strong enough. And then I think Tech gave me admission. But it was law and sociology And when I went to my uncle, who was a lawyer, Uncle Bill Jackson, Uncle Bill was working with SSB at the time as a lawyer. So I think I went to him at Kokomemle and I showed him, his office was at Kokomemle. Yeah. So I showed him that, can I become a lawyer with this? He said, no, that is BA. So he explained to me that you should do LLB. Then after that, you go to Makola.
Exactly.
So he explained everything to me. So I didn't take the offer from Tech for law and sociology.
Why did you choose the school you chose in the UK?
Well, from the background, Buckingham was a private university. And then when I read about them, they focused on small groups and they had an intensive 4-term system. 2 years intensive LLB. In fact, 2 years intensive first degree is the only university in the UK that does intensive
2 years.
2 years for your degree.
Were you in a
not
hurry?
3 years.
Were you in a hurry?
No, because I think I wanted to stay in the classroom. So it's 4 terms, not, they don't operate the semester system
so
where you do two semesters. Yeah. No. You do term 1, term 2 you write exam, you enjoy 4 weeks of summer break, you come in to term 3 and 4, then you are done. So it's prelims part 1, and then you come back again, roll January to June for your part 2 stage 1. Then you finally do the July to December, which is the part 2 stage 2. Then you graduate the following year February.
How long were you in the UK then?
For 2 years. For 2 years. Yes. So I went, but in fact, whilst there, in my final stage, part 2 stage 2, I came to do politics. My friends, I was prepared. School had opened. That evening, I was going back to school. I was flying that night. And then my friend Fifi Saki and Nana Santi came. They said, oh, Winneba, the person who had won the primaries, has stepped down. And all the youth are saying they want Alex to be the MP. I had not thought about it.
You've never done politics before?
No.
Not even assemblyman?
No. So they convinced me. Then I cancelled my flight.
But you had not finished school?
Yes.
So how did that work?
That was a huge risk. So I cancelled my flight. And then the next day, they took me to Winneba. Started meeting the party elders. And it was clear. So in the primaries, which I became the obvious choice, the elders said, no, I was too young to be in parliament. They won't allow.
How old were you then? 30s, in your 30s?
No, I wasn't 30. I was 2004. And I'm a 78 born, so let's calculate 26. Yes. So, no, it was not May yet. It was, it was July, August. So I was 26. Yes. And then we fought.
You had already bought your Mercedes and things at that age?
Of course, long before. An
entrepreneur?
Long before. And then I think even around that time, I had a contract with Guinness that they were paying me good money. I was distributing all their promotional materials across the country. Georganda, my good friend, that's when we started bonding. He was the marketing manager, and I rented his father's property. And by the way, long after that, I took George back into politics, because he was also not interested in politics. So back to the 204, I fought, and eventually, a day to the filing at EC, Damboche asked me to get my tax clearance certificate. Jacob Echebilamte was, at my corner. Lord Comey was a great loyalist. And then Mrs. Okujeto, of blessed memory, Madame Rita Sobayere, and then they were all supporting me. Mustafa Hamid, John Buedu, I had gained some traction at the national headquarters at Kokomemle, and then the youth in Windber were supporting me. And then Harun Eseku alone was fighting me. He said, no. I was too young because he was receiving feedback from the elders.
He was chairman back then?
National chairman. So they called a meeting at the castle. And when we went to the castle, after a long talk, Kufo said no, they should allow me to go. Then Mr. Kosa, of blessed memory, the chairman of the Council of Elders, I think Kufo said lawyer. Then when he said you're lawyer, Mr. Kosa from the back exclaimed or shouted, raised his voice, said, President, on your lawyer.
No, because you hadn't finished.
On your school. Then Kufo said, huh? Are you not done with your law degree? I said, no. He said, oh, Debbie.
Gosh.
Debbie. Now, when we are school, who are abroche, now who buy MP. That was the end. And then, hell broke loose. Then, apparently, I had prepared Owusu Ajayi. He was in a corner room somewhere. Then the Winneba businessmen were saying that, that was a man who was giving the money. They were telling Kufo that the contributions that we're bringing to you. It was Owusu Ajayi who was paying our certificate. Apparently, he was the director of budget. So they were saying that Owusu Ajayi was smuggling, the MPP businessmen, their certificates for the finance minister to pay. So he was one of us. So his mother is from Winneba. So they need an elderly person, to be. And Winneba has always been key in the national politics. So the elders, they don't want to have anything to do with me, small boy.
So that ended your first chance.
Then I wept. I was rolling on the floor. I still remember, up to date, Papa Uzan Kumas teases me with it, And then I was crying. Mrs. Okujato was crying and all. And we had to come back home sad. The next day was filing. So in 2004, there was no primaries in Winneba.
Wow.
Owusu Ajayi himself was not a voter in Winneba. So they did quick transfer the next day, and then
did he win?
He won, yes.
Okay. So you went back to the UK to finish your course?
No, I couldn't go because the term had passed and I could only have the chance the next year.
Which is what you did?
Yes. So I had to work. And then the following year, some elders came to me and said, look, you need to go stay in the politics. So they convinced me to contest as an assemblyman.
Okay.
And then when we were campaigning, the insults, no way.
Why?
I ran away.
Why were they insulting you?
I left. No, politics, the propaganda we see today,
right.
Insulting you, saying all manner of propaganda, agenda, So I abandoned it. I wasn't going to Winneba. So I said, look, let me focus and do my business. So I was at trade fair.
You were not yet a lawyer?
No. I had not even completed my LLB. So I was doing my bauxite business. That time, business had gone bigger. I was running a huge portfolio. Banks were chasing me with loan. Stanchart had given me a huge facility. UT had come in with backlash in some arrangements. And then NIB had also bought some trucks for us. I had some export credit facility where I was paying through Avalize bills every 6 months. And we're bringing trailers and trucks from abroad. And I said, look, let me forget about this politics. So it was this man, Teacher Kwesi Mensah. He's still in Winneba. He was the first vice chair of NDC. He walked to my office one afternoon and said, look, my son, I hear you say you won't contest again. You must. I said, no.
Guy telling you this?
Yes. I said, no, teacher. He knew me as a little boy from Abasaba. So he came and said, look, I'm an NDC, but I see something good in you. Go. In fact, it is because of Teacher Kwesi Mensah that upon all the politics, I still keep friendship and say, look, someone in NDC shouldn't be your enemy, or your political opponent shouldn't be your enemy. Because he came, and I always reflect that if this man was thinking about his party, he wouldn't have come to say that, look, you have a potential. So he convinced me, but I wasn't budging. Then I think he conspired with my friends in Winneba. Then they took my passport picture that I had already taken, and then the forms to EC. So they did my posters. I said I also no go.
This is 2008.
2006. Assembly election.
The 2008 election.
No, I'm talking 2006 assembly election.
Assembly election. Okay, all right.
So they still tried. I said I won't go. I won't mind them. I didn't go. So they voted for me in absentia.
You win.
I won the assembly elections in absentia.
Without campaigning.
No, I wasn't there. And then they came to carry me from Accra that I've won, And then they said there is something called presiding member. You are going to be the speaker. So that one too, they took me around. I remember campaign. I would be in a taxi and the elders were taking me to the villages because that time it was Ewutu Efutu Senya, 67 assembly members. And then we went 3 rounds and I won. And I was the presiding member.
What was it like? What's it like to be a presiding member?
You are like the speaker of the assembly.
Okay.
So you preside and over deliberations. So I enjoyed it, and then I went back to school to complete when I had a chance. So immediately I finished December. In fact, my businesses were having problems. So my regular attendance was a problem. So Buckingham made me give an undertaking because they said by their policy, you have to complete your degree in a period of time. So it made me give an undertaking that if I fail, I won't have the opportunity to resit, and that they will award me HND in law or LLB without honors or whatever certificate they would have to, either certificate in law, whatever, but they want me to know that I won't have the opportunity to resit. It was just a one-time lifeline.
Did that ginger you?
Well, by the grace of God, I used 3 weeks to study for law of trust, criminal law, and the management courses, and a contract, and I passed. So I made second-class lower. And immediately I came back, and I went to Makola to inquire.
Yes.
And they said, okay, those of us who have done LLB from other jurisdictions, Commonwealth jurisdictions, and are in, we have to now do 6 months of pre-professional, which would include Ghana legal system.
Exactly.
So if you pass, you can now join the LLB graduates for the main, So we started in January, 6 months, intensive, every day, going for lectures. And by the grace of God, I think we're 25 or so. We did it. I don't know how many of us made it, but I recall seeing my index number and my name, among those who had passed. Then we started the Makola proper. Makola proper, we started, part 1. I passed all my papers. Then part 2, they published law interpretation. I was among those who didn't make it in interpretation. It came strange because I said, how come? But I think one of us was eyeing Saba. And it's...
Who is Saba?
The Saba Award.
Okay.
One of us was eyeing Saba. So I think he was quite disappointed. And his grandpa was very prominent. So I think he felt that, no, he would want to go for remarking. So in fact, he actually pursued his remarking. Some of us did not have the courage because at the law school, you're always careful.
Huh?
That anything could happen to you.
Did anything happen to anybody?
Well, it was a rumor. Let's be careful. These days, you can never be sure. So I think when he put in
the
request for remarking, then all of us benefited because then I think the CJ, gave an amnesty for anybody who wanted remark. Okay. So we had the courage then to say, okay, let's go. Then they asked us to come and pay for the remarking, so we paid for the remarking. And then we waited, and after that they published the results. So when they published the results for the remarking, some of us made it. I remember my marks, and then few of the petitioners didn't make it. So then we made the case again that we should have the call, and then we went. I remember the judicial secretary, the Alex something, I've forgotten. He's on the Court of Appeal now. We went to him as a group. We wanted to see the Chief Justice, but we couldn't get access to the CJ. And then he sat us down and counseled us and told us that, look, he himself, when he finished the law, he had to go to Canada for a program, and he came back the following year for his call. So we shouldn't be too worried about when to be called, because once the Judicial Council had met, to go and convene another meeting again will be some way. So he doesn't think the CJ would want to call another Judicial Council meeting to do ratification of our results. So we should wait. So we waited. So we missed the sweet, famous October call. You know, I said, okay.
That's a major one, right?
That's the main call, October. The first Saturday in October. Yeah, so we missed it. And then they said, okay, our call will be in December. So we waited December. Then later we were told that, the CJ says that, those who were still doing the resitting for the various papers they had failed, he wants the resitting to be done. And then we all do it together. So I think those who were resitting, they did it in December. And then eventually, January or so, their results was out, or February. Then wait. They finally said 10th April. So I was called to the bar eventually.
10th April.
Under, a mini call,
10th April, which year?
I need to remember. I think I don't want to make a mistake.
But you've been a lawyer for quite some time now.
Yeah, 15, 16
years.
Yeah.
Do you remember who came to your ceremony?
The CJ?
No, when you were called to the bar.
My mom was there, my dad was there, my stepdad was there. My family members, my wife was there.
Are your parents still alive?
Yes, my mom
is still alive?
70, 75. She's there. We're in Winneba this morning.
The one who planned the escape with you?
Yes.
And your dad?
We still conspire. Mommy and I. She taught me how to save money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Mommy.
And dad is alive too?
Dad is alive. Dad is 81.
Okay.
Stepdad is 82.
Okay.
He turned 82 this April.
What is it?
But
to
unfortunately,
have your parents,
stepdad has not enjoyed the fruits of his labor.
Oh, why?
Because he's lost his sight. So unfortunately, that man. Remember when I was going to secondary school, he prayed and wept with his rosary.
Wow.
That is stepdad. Yeah, he was there for me.
That's good. I can imagine.
Such a great dad.
A great man.
Yeah. He would get me to read the Psalms, and then he would be listening, get you to attend Mass, and all.
Great times.
God should continue to grant him long life.
Amen.
He had prostate issues, and surprisingly, old man at 81, no BP, no sugar. Anytime he does his medicals or everything, in the village they take organic food.
The best lifestyle.
Then and lately I could see he's getting a bit weak, but
he's still 80 plus, man.
Yes. Old man does not. No.
Good cholesterol.
Good cholesterol. Whenever he comes, I force him to come and do his. So Alex, I'm okay. Daddy, you come and do it. He does it and no fear, no pepper.
One time, they must be proud of you as being a lawyer.
Old man had his own difficulties in the PNDC, and I think he had some disappointment in life. And whenever he sees me, I see joy in his eyes. And my prayer always is that God help me not to disappoint him.
What do you think he's joyous about you?
Well, that he has a son who has made him proud. I mean, like the way I'm proud of my son who is a medical student and is on a dean's list. I mean, anytime my son calls me and we're talking.
You feel good.
And he says that he's still on it. So I think it's the same feeling my dad has about me. Yeah, I mean, it's quite disappointing to have a stubborn child. So if indeed your son is doing well, you should be proud. And now as minority leader, very difficult time. You must always calculate. It's always tough. Tougher than when I was a majority leader. You know, because that was a straight thing, straight fight. Leading government business, you could see your way clear, and you know, as a minority leader,
It's different.
when you are hitting very hard,
Counter punches are coming.
you would be told, oh, no, don't hit too hard. When you want to stay in the middle too, people will be looking at you, why is leader not punching the government? Why is it that so, you know, it's quite rough. So you must always find a thin line, balance it, pray to your God, pray, self-control, spirit of discernment, ask God's protection. It's not easy because MPP, as I always say, is a party of equals. And internally, there's always that
debate of ideas.
And everybody in MPP has an equal opportunity for leadership. No, I mean, in MPP, at any point, anybody qualifies. And people have their views. So you have to learn patience. You have to learn bravery. You have to learn how to negotiate, cut through, charge through the storm. Be a situational and an adaptive leader. If you don't adapt, you would fall. If you don't act situational, you are in trouble. And at any point, you don't even know who is happy and who is not happy. And if you are sometimes slip with your choice of words in how you are taking it, especially in this social media, hey,
you're in trouble.
You are in a big trouble.
Is that the hardest part of being in politics? This balancing act?
Yes, it is. You know, because you want to keep a friend on the other side and be principled in your views. I've also realized that largely the Ghanaian political psyche does not embrace extremism. But it has a semblance of extremism. So if you are not careful also, you may brand yourself in a manner that you yourself may, in the long run, when it's played to you, you say, is this me? But careful about your base. Sometimes the base get excited when it is pound for pound.
Yeah, they want that energizing.
No, the base.
They love it.
The base always get excited. There is a reason why I'm a bit disappointed in the NDC administration, because I realize that they are allowing the extremists, the hawks, to dictate the pace. Like, for instance, removal of Chief Justice. The hawks are happy, the base is happy, yes. We're showing strength, we must also control the judiciary. What the same government is forgetting is that they are giving a very bad signal to the investor community. What they don't know is that little attack on the CJ is hurting the economy. But the hawks don't know. So I believe that the centrists in both political parties must begin to assert themselves to help with governance. Because, Kafui, if we don't allow the centrists, the moderates in the political space to assert themselves and take control of governance, I'm not sure where our democracy will take us to.
Do you think President Mahama is a centrist?
He's largely seen as a moderate. I mean, that is the image he carved for himself. And if you ask me, I wouldn't say that his government now reflects the image he carved for himself as a politician. Because his image has been the brebre person, the man who would not want to hurt.
Don't rock the boat.
The man who would want to get everybody on board. so that people can align. But what we are seeing is a government that is creating a two Ghana, one for party members and all others should go to hell. And that is dangerous. And I'm saying that if steps are not taken, these hawks would push him into early lame duck days. By the way, I already see signs of it, because if you see the way the national chairman, Asedu Nkatia, spoke recently about internal contests, that the government is new, yet people are jostling for power, for who to succeed. It should make you worry.
You think it's too early to be talking about things like that?
Well, it's the reason why I'm saying that they have pushed him into lame duck days, because the hawks are up in arms that they want to take control of leadership.
So for you, it's the hawks who want the chief justice removed? And
all other decisions. For instance, recently, look at the dismissal, the mass dismissal. Kafui, why that? Ask yourself, why that? Why do we come into office and then the chief of staff will write to all state agencies and departments, institutions that terminate employment? It doesn't happen.
His argument is that all appointments after December 7th, 2024
come on. Are they not Ghanaians? If same was irregular, regularize it through what we all know as ratification.
But is it not odd that you have so many appointments being made after December 7th when the party has
beside
lost,
the point,
the government has
beside
lost?
the point. Put the government losing power aside. Who did they employ? Did they employ foreigners? They employed Ghanaians. Senior. They employed Ghanaians. They took them out of the unemployment space and gated employment for them. So, do you come and sack them so that they go back home and sit? Look at the teachers who had been posted, nurses who had already been posted. In fact, some people who were not even working for the public service machinery, but were working for state-owned enterprises that are independent, limited liability companies, 6 years, 7 years, they've all been sacked. And I don't think that's a legacy the President Mahama government wants to leave, because he has just 4 years.
Do they have an
and I'm saying that these are the handiwork of the hawks. They've taken control. Look at the Galamsey. Maybe for now people may not understand it properly, but nobody should doubt organized labor. For the TUC Secretary General on May Day to boldly tell government that the Galamsey within this short period has worsened should give you nightmares.
But the government will also argue and say that in this short period, they've made more arrests.
TUC has
in these 4 months than the
a
whole
very
of last
robust research machinery. They do a lot of research, so I don't doubt them. TUC has also expressed concern about the attack on the judiciary. Now, apart from all of these, Kafui, ask yourself, the famous 24-hour economy, the government promised. That was a catchy thing that people related to.
It wasn't the 120 day contract.
No,
it wasn't it actually.
133.
120 day economy contract.
It was
24 hours part of it, yeah. Definitely.
Now the president came to deliver sonar. We demanded, where is the 120 day, 24-hour economy? So when my finance minister comes with a budget, finance minister comes, he says, oh, we are working on it. It will come later. Your own flagship policy, you are unable to implement it. It means at the time you were telling us, you were not sure. You say you are now working around it. Now, what is the government's trade policy? What is the government policy for the private sector? Zero. They have not rolled out any specific policy for any sector of the economy since he assumed office. It's committee here, committee there. Now, you are talking about arrest. This populist thing that they are doing, they think that is what would take away their responsibility. Listen, I am not against accountability, but I don't support the approach they have adopted in the name of accountability.
So what are
I will
the
leave
thoughts
it
on
there.
oral? How about oral?
It's very unconstitutional, illegal.
Operation Recover All.
It has no legal and constitutional basis.
They say oral is meant to gather the information and pass it on to the legally constituted bodies.
I hear. Let's wait and see.
We are recording this on the 120th day of the new government's inauguration. They are patting themselves on the back. I've heard.
Well,
I've
tomorrow.
heard the deputy spokesperson say they've achieved 80% of their promises. What's your
I would categorize my marking scheme into two. One, 24-hour economy. I will allocate 50% to 24-hour economy.
Chief examiner.
And the other 50 for all others.
So
50%, they score 0 because they've not introduced the 24-hour economy. All other aspects of the economy is another 50%. I can't give them more than 20%.
I'm sure your base will be excited by these comments.
I can't give them.
Punching.
But that is a reality. The 24-hour economy is a main thing. It's very key. It's to create employment. They said 133, 1 job, 3 shifts. Is that not what they said? But I'm going to address the press on this. I have all the information to address the press on this matter.
When will you do that?
Oh, tomorrow.
Okay, so on the 8th of May.
Yes.
I can't end this chat without talking about the Save the Judiciary demo that took place earlier this week. I read somewhere that you've waived your right to parliamentary immunity to.
Oh yes, I mean
to be part of the investigation.
Yes,
what does that mean?
Well, Kafui, truth is one. That unfortunate incident by the young man, the police officer, I decided.
Did he assault you?
I mean everything I put out, and as a Catholic, I owe it a duty to be truthful to my own conscience. Some things have been revealed today when I interacted with the police.
Oh, you've been to the police?
Yes, I interacted with them.
What was that like?
Oh, very cordial, very respectful. They showed professional.
Where did it happen?
They showed professionalism. I called the boss, and then I told him I told her I want to come to them.
Okay. So you went to HQ?
Yes, I went there. And then I'm sure you'll hear from them.
What was it? Is this the first time you've been part of a police investigation involving you?
I'm sure you will hear from them.
No, I just curious.
Because I think the impression I got was that they were relying on a social media video, which video had been compromised.
I've seen that video.
Yes, which video had been compromised.
Really?
And they themselves have access to their own official video taken by the Public Affairs Department of Police. And they have seen the truth. There is no way I, Kwamena, would want to lie on this matter. And if for nothing at all, my patience in handling the matter saved a situation. Because can you imagine if I had been all emotional and acted in a certain way for the protesters to know that indeed I had been assaulted, I'm sure we'll not be sitting having a conversation. Momentarily, I protested the gentleman's actions, and I felt that he could have been much more professional. I look forward to hearing from the police regarding what we have all seen. Do you get the point I'm making? Yeah, I look forward to the police coming out eventually based on what we have all seen. But I need to tell you this, that I never, ever assaulted a police officer in the discharge of his lawful duties. He rather targeted me and hit me, and there were officers who saw it, and even the compromise video that is out that I'm sure you might have watched, if you heard my voice, I was shouting, do you want to kill me? What have I done to you? Do I deserve this and all? I'm sure if you've watched your video, in spite of all the attacks, at least even those compromised ones that people were busily sharing, any analyst listening and watching will know that I was protesting, and that was it. So I will patiently wait. You know, we've gotten to a stage in our lives that we must trust in our God, in the principles we believe in, and in truth, and believe in karma. Karma answereth it all.
Who do you think is behind this?
Oh, I'm a politician, and a frontline politician for that matter. It shouldn't come as a surprise when I go through such experiences. It's normal.
Before we go, quick fire question here. What's the biggest lesson your party should learn after 5 months after the election?
One big question.
Exactly 5 months after the election, which is today.
One big question. I want to be careful with the right and the accurate answer. Well, one, internally, lesson one, unity. Lesson two, communication. Because as a politician, one thing we must all bear in mind is that our work is a perception-driven work. So we should be able to communicate effectively. I think it's one thing. Another thing to consider.
Unity, communication.
Yes.
Say a third one.
Then the unity and the communication will feed into the rebranding. Because obviously once you've gone through defeat, it means that you come back home to strategize to rebrand the party and make the party much more attractive. You know, it's not their first time of losing election. Even NDC is not their first time. They all went back home to do their homework and then they are back. So I think that's how I'll leave it.
What's the real reason behind the thank you tours?
It's a thank you tour. There's no other real reason. Thank you tour is a thank you tour.
What are you thanking people for?
For supporting the party, for keeping faith with the party in good times and in bad. Polling station executives have stayed with the party to thank them and have an opportunity to interact and reflect on some of the issues that the grassroots have raised for consideration by leadership.
What would you say to somebody who says you guys are out of touch? What are you thanking people for? What would be your response?
Well, It is always normal for people to have a certain expectation and critique if those expectations are not met. I would say to that person, your views are welcome. Give us an opportunity, we'll do better.
Is there any feedback you've received from the people you've met on the thank you tour that surprised you?
I'm unable to comment on that. You want to, Kafui, you're using experience to draw me back into a certain answer you want.
Which means there's feedback you got that surprised you.
Well, I have not personally been available for it, but I'm sure that we would get a report. When the report comes, we'll discuss at National Council. At that point, if there's an opportunity to discuss, we'll discuss.
All right. What needs to change quickly for MPP if you want to win 2028?
Well, I've talked about unity, and I've also talked about communication. And I believe that they all feed into the rebranding thing.
Maybe I think I'll end this just by being a little bit personal with you. So, if you stop being a politician today, would you go back into business?
Oh, I'm still doing it.
Still in business, okay.
But if I stop being a politician today, one thing I'm sure, I'm certain of doing is to go into the ministry.
Okay.
Because I've been dreaming about it every now and then. I see myself preaching and sharing the word of God.
Are you still a Catholic?
Yes, I still remain a Catholic.
Are you hopeful for the new Pope?
To be an African?
Yes.
Oh, for me, it's not really a big deal.
Okay.
It will be an icing on the cake that there has never been
a black Pope
in modern history.
Yeah, modern history.
In modern history, we've not had a black Pope, an African Pope. I don't want to use the word black. We've not had an African Pope in the modern history. But so if it comes, that's good.
Okay.
But if we don't get it, it's still God. I mean, c'est la vie. I mean, this is life.
I know you say that a lot, c'est la vie.
Yeah. I mean, what can you do? This is life. What can you do?
So you would see yourself as a preacher?
Yeah, I mean.
How would that work in the Catholic context?
Yeah, well, I think the Catholic Church has various departments that you can use your talent for the benefit of humanity. So let's get there and cross it. But the question again is that as a politician, does anything stop me from still spending time to share a word of God with people? No, I would say no. I should use my interaction with people daily to talk to them about faith, my own experiences, like I've shared today, how God has helped me, how I've seen crisis and, crossed over, how God has revealed himself to me in difficult times in spite of all my imperfections, and learn from it, because people always need other people's experiences to carry them along. That, you
did this.
Somebody went through, and then
I can go.
Increase our faith in God.
What's something about you that would surprise most people?
My faith in God. My faith in God. How prayerful I am, or how I believe that prayer is key to turn situation around.
Why were you pressing those people at the appointments committee? That's a mission.
It's my job. I mean, the work of the opposition is to scrutiny. Their own side will not do it. And it wasn't personal. It was just to do the work. I mean, it's part of the democratic discourse.
Was that the prosecutor and you coming there?
Because
of the legal training?
I think the advocacy in me, because I miss my days in court. Today, like that, when we commissioned the new court and we did the moot court.
Yeah, we saw it online.
I was the lead counsel for the accused person.
You miss your days?
Yeah, I did.
Is there one case that you still remember in your days when you were in court?
Oh, of course. The Benjamin Mensah case.
Give us brief sketch.
Well, when I challenged the EC for embarking upon the General Assembly elections of 2015 without any constitutional instrument. And I invited the court to interpret the constitution. It's also a case I did, financial crime case, where I challenged the Anti-Money Laundering Act. And at the time, the FIC, Yoko were just freezing accounts upon any little suspicion. And I went to the Supreme Court to challenge the freezing of an account and made a strong case for the law to be distinguished. And I remember my law Benin, who wrote a lead judgment in that particular case I did, distinguished between an account and a tainted transaction. And I said, if a transaction is tainted, freeze only the transaction and allow the account
to operate.
And that is, you
convince them.
One student meet me and they refer to my cases. I've done a lot of cases at the Supreme Court. I was, in my active days in practice, I was an active practitioner in the Supreme Court.
Who's the toughest judge you've ever faced?
Between Badegbe and Atuguba, it will be difficult to choose.
When we say tough judge, what does that mean for you?
At the Supreme Court, I would say that a judge that makes it difficult to convince, to persuade, it's difficult to predict them. There are some judges that are predictable. So if you practice before, then you know that this judge, if you move your argument in a certain direction, he or she would follow you and take you there. And there are some judges that you cannot predict them. For instance, my Lord Atuguba, in the NCS versus Interstat case, it was not a certiorari application. It was a certiorari application that was before the court.
What does certiorari mean?
Meaning invoking the supervisory jurisdiction of the court to quash a decision of the lower court. This was a matter at the appeal court that had been brought up for certiorari long after the 90 days. You can only mount a process under Article 132 of the Constitution within 90 days. And my Lord Atuguba, who wrote the lead judgment, had argued that it doesn't matter when there's illegality. It doesn't matter the time. So he indirectly repealed the Supreme Court rules that place a time limit.
90-day time limit.
Right. The same person presiding over another matter beyond 90 days now says no.
He should stick to the 90s.
So, and he has a very intelligent way of navigating around the law.
If you became a judge, would you want to be like him? Is it too late to become a judge, though?
It depends.
Because it's in your book, you wrote it.
I'm saying that it depends.
It depends on what?
And then, it depends. Let's leave it there.
It means he could be a judge.
And then, my Lord Bedegbe, may God bless his soul, he was a judge of procedure.
Okay.
Strict procedure.
So follow the
procedure. He won't spare you. If you are appearing on a panel before a panel that he's on, your eyes, your comma, your language of the law, how you've drafted your motions, how you've done your statement of case, the rules, how you've applied them, the cases you've referred to.
So a very particular person.
Oh, yes. And Bedegbe would help you to learn. And sometimes it appears as if he's antagonizing you, but he's not. Okay. He really helped me. And then I think at the High Court level, the judge who really gave me a tough time was Ifesewa Asari-Botwe. Also one unpredictable judge. Because she was a prosecutor for a long time, she's a pro-state person.
Of course.
There are some judges who are very liberal, some very conservative, some are very pro-state. So you take certain matters before them, they look at the policy angle, the interest of the state, and it's difficult. In my Eyi Mensah case, Atukuba was the presiding judge. He was the president of the panel. And we argued for 3 days.
3 days.
And Akusi was finding a way to save EC. Because to say that they should cancel the election until a new CI was enacted was not easy. I could see when I was advancing my case, I could see that some of the panel members were persuaded. But the president of the panel was giving, and then he said we should go and bring the Hansa, the debates. We adjourned it for the next day. We went, brought the debates. Then he gave EC that, okay, you said you started it with a particular CI. We are giving you the time. Go and check the CI and bring it. I knew there was no CI, but EC said they had a certain CI.
So a tough judge.
It was.
Tough judge.
Court of Appeal, I've forgotten, but some difficult. Yes, my Lord Tanko. I had tough time with him at the Court of Appeal. Yeah, he is at the Supreme Court now. But there were some judges at the Supreme Court who also really midwifed my career. They helped. The way they encouraged me. I think her ladyship, the CJ herself. Georgina Wood. My first case at the Supreme Court, it was a certiorari, and then Thaddeus Sori was the applicant, and I was opposing the application. It was not easy. I was shaking, And Thaddeus can be a terror,
For real?
He can intimidate you, Yeah, he won't spare you. But I learned a lot from him. He was also a great guy. Outside the courtroom, he would really encourage you to come. In fact, there were 2 lawyers who also really encouraged me, who helped me to keep my practice as a Supreme Court alive. My Lord Johnny Kulendi and Thaddeus Sori. Yes. Johnny he would spend time to counsel you and he would ask some preaching. Johnny would always talk to you and add some biblical quotation. And he would stand outside and say, look, young man, Alex, I listened to you. You were right. But the judges, you can't predict them. So don't be heartbroken. Come back again. And I think my own professor, Isam Kuma, was also coming through. As for him, right in the courtroom, he will sit by you and say, Alex, but go it this way. Sometimes when you're on your feet and you're having a tough, and he's there, he will come and sit by you. Or if he's behind you, he will do some notes and then slip it through that, look, you go this way, the way you are going, no, you are not addressing the question, because questions can come from all angles.
Okay.
So he was also one person who was always helping. And when I'm having difficult times, I'll call him and say, sir, this thing, what do you think? Then he say, okay, go and read this, go and check. He will readily help. But those who really talked me into staying at the Supreme Court, Thaddeus Sori and Johnny Kulendi. Judges who helped me, helped in the sense of encouraging.
Your professional career.
My Lord Doche was very helpful. My Lord Bafuboni, my Lord Benin. He's a fancy man, very calm. Sometimes, even when you don't have any case before him, he would see you and say, come to his office in Chambers. And he would talk to you and I says, oh, your argument the last time, the case, you did well. But, I think you should look at some other authorities there was a case that we did, and then we came to check it, and
you benefited from a lot of mentors.
Yes, and then, you know, yeah, I mean, but for the children, he was a father to many. You know, when he sees you a young practitioner,
encourage you.
You know, he won't. But there were some too who could bully you, who could just ruffle you, shake you. Yes, so far Adinira, you know, she won't spare you.
For real.
Hey, my lady. Yeah. Akoto Banfo was a quiet person. She was very quiet. She would throw in questions. You wouldn't know her mind. She would throw in 1, 2. But Akoto Banfo, my lady Akoto Banfo, I saw her more a pro state person.
Defending the state.
Defending the state. I mean, and for her, if you're taking cases, you can be so sure, you know, that if it is something against the state, bringing some claim,
you're not going to get it.
You are not likely to get it. My lady Edinyira was a hush-hush person, but initially I wasn't happy with it. But later, in practice, I saw it as her own way of helping you to learn and sharpen your skills.
Yeah. I'm sure you're grateful to all of them.
Oh, generally, yes. I mean, my Lord Yawapo, I still call him Wafa. Yeah, I'll call him Wafa. Hey, me Wafa say, then, you know, bro, then if you see someone, say, look, Afenyo-Markin. Then he a day, who pim now on pim. What banner we lose in idea bet you know was saying educate for Fraba. Because when those days I was taking up a lot of constitutional cases. And when I lose at the High Court session, right, I would prefer to go and then lose, come, because for me it wasn't about whether I lost or not. I knew that whatever it was, I was going to get something out of it. Because you must write a ruling. You know, so sometimes I will lose 3-2, 4-1, 6-1, you know, 5-2. You know, where, you know, there were times that I will win with 7-0, you know, Sechora 5-0.
When you win like that, how do you celebrate?
You know, lawyer, you're just coming out and you feel good.
You don't drink a beer or anything?
No, I don't take alcohol. I'm not good. No.
When was the last time you had a drink? When was the last time you had a drink of alcohol?
Oh, I don't remember. I don't take it.
You don't take it at all?
If I even taste, you know, a bit, I will react.
Oh, wow. So you're allergic?
Yes, a lot. I have a lot of allergies. I don't smoke. I don't take alcohol. I don't take any of the fanfare substance, something for
enjoyment. How do you enjoy yourself? How do you enjoy yourself?
I'm too odd. Odd in the sense that I really don't know. I mean, I love culture. Art and culture. Plays.
Yes.
You know, reading my books.
What kind of books do you like to read?
Oh, a lot more of Shakespeare. Yeah.
Drama.
Shakespeare.
Music, what do you like?
Music, choral music, local. And sometimes I like to listen to speeches. Yeah, speeches in the night like that. You know, things that I do, you know, when I get home, I would have to listen to some speeches on, you know, YouTube.
Who do you recently listen to?
Oh, Martin Luther King.
Powerful.
Yeah, not if it's very recent, as in the Marcus Garvey.
Another great speaker.
That was yesterday.
Yes.
Then I would listen to Muji. There's a motivational.
Muji.
Muji. You know, about life. Muji teaches a lot.
On YouTube.
Yes, you know, every night I listen and sleep with it.
It's good.
Yes, Muji is good, and then wake up in the morning to do my 12 blessings, do my St. Francis of Assisi prayer, do my rosary, and then sometimes if I forget or I'm in a hurry, I have to do it in a car. And then just hold on to my mantra for the day. Because we go through challenges.
That's it. We're coming to the end of this conversation, but I have
You said this long ago.
2 questions I want to ask you, just 2 more. I'm doing what you do in Parliament.
I'm in trouble.
What's the best advice someone ever gave to you, and who gave you that best advice?
I'm struggling. Well, I think for the politics, Mr. Yebi Hansen, who ever encouraged me that I should go for the assembly election.
Okay. The NDC chap.
No. The NDC chap came later.
Okay.
But it was Mr. Yebi Hansen, the former constituency chairman of MPP. And then said, look, I will learn a lot from there. That comes to mind. And today I don't regret it. And he also told me to have patience.
Okay.
My friend Richard Sky.
Okay.
In crisis time where I felt so dejected. You know, you see that thing? I'm sure you. You know, this thing is not here for nothing.
In the fullness of time, let me have that. So, in the fullness of time, all things shall align.
The day Richard told me this, I was at my lowest moment.
What was happening to you then?
Well, we had come to power, appointments, my name was on in, went to ECOWAS Parliament, I had to come back home. I wanted to be among the 5 leaders in our front bench. I didn't get the opportunity. Everything was bad for me. Meanwhile, I had done so well in the elections, brought the highest votes in Central Region to the table, and it was bad. And even the worst of it all my colleagues in opposition had been maintained in their preferred committees, and I was denied.
What was your preferred committee? What did you want?
You want to know it all?
Yes.
Again, I could not even get the honor or the privilege or the opportunity of serving as a chair or vice chair of a committee. And all these affected me at the time. I was really down. I said, why me? Richard and other good friends, my uncles, my wife, everybody, they encouraged me. Take it easy. Life is always like that. But the highlight of all of that came from this profound statement from Richard. And he said this as a result of something we encountered. He had come to pick me at home at 5 a.m. We had gone to a certain big man's office to make an important call to somebody to stop harassing me, or as it were, to give me the chance in a certain space. And earlier on, the same person said, oh, I'm a good boy, he likes me. But when we went to the person, and the person called that person, that, Osimesi, why don't you help this young man? He said, no, that boy. He said so many things. I was sad. And we were to keep it, because if I react, what it meant was that we're betraying the trust of the person, because I wasn't to know what exactly the man was telling him by way of feedback to the request. And then I moved into that person's office. And when the person saw me and Richard, and I said, oh, sir, please, why don't you at least help me? What have I done? He said, oh. And I was kneeling whilst I was talking to him. I was kneeling, that if I have offended, he should forgive me. He said, oh, I should quote. I want to quote exactly what he said there. Afenyo, sorry.
Get up.
Sorry, oh, yes. Me cry na me person me do share. Hey, you know that prayer that they said David saw, the people wanted to attack him. And when he entered the temple, he saw them. Psalm 23. So I walked through the valley of the shadow of that fear no evil. Nimpa yo,
person no good, eh?
Politics.
Better when
Impenyo.
you say it never. Better when you.
SSNTO.
Memorable.
Ha. Well, 5 a.m. So I was down. And so Richard, warmed me up. When in cry, Richard can hug you, can give you a hug and tap you at your back and said, Alexo, in the fullness of time, all things shall align. So I kept it. I so the day I became a deputy leader, we spoke about it and we laughed over it. Then eventually when I became a leader, I said, no, history must remember Richard. So I printed it and kept it right behind me. That's my seat. I kept it right behind me.
In the fullness of time, all things shall align.
If you know how down I was that morning when we got to that man's office and said, oh, sorry, one year away. And I reconciled with the same person who was strong. That boy, no. Hey, an MPU. Anyway.
And talking of time.
There are some known
and
unknowns. And some unknown
unknowns.
So,
who is that guy who said this American?
Donald Rumsfeld.
Rumsfeld.
The former defense secretary
USA.
under Bush
Yes.
administration.
And talking of time, we've come to the end of our conversation.
Thank you.
When people talk about you in 2045,
2045.
20 years time, by God's grace.
How old would I be?
What do you hope that they will say?
Let me add 20. That's 20
years.
20 plus 47. It's 67.
Yes.
Whoa.
By the grace of God,
I'll be
if people
old,
talk to you, what would you hope that they will say about you if they talk about you in 20 years time?
Well, I want Winneba to remember me simply for what I came to do for humanity, for my constituents. And I want the nation Ghana to remember me if I'm out of politics, for my role I played in the betterment of our democracy. Afenyo the advocate, Afenyo the moderate, Afenyo the situational leader, Afenyo the person who will adapt, Afenyo the one who does not do politics to hurt his opponent, but to express his views. Afenyo the man who made an impact on the legislative functions of that arm of government. That's it.
Would you be an ex-president by then?
That's where you were thinking. Look, senior, this game that we are in, you survive by grace. Me sitting here, I don't know what the Almighty God has in store for me. I am from a poor home. It's the grace and the benefits of the realm that has kept me. Like I said, the details of this conversation with Richard and the experience will be in my memoir.
You're writing it?
We've not started, but we'll write.
Okay.
I never expected that for all that people planned against me, especially in that infamous ADB plot, I could live another day. It was as if all was over. And then God kept me. So I want to continue doing my work and keep it at that. God knows best.
And in the fullness of time?
he aligns everything. And I believe, as Sky said, all things shall align. But that requires vigilance like the snake and meekness of the dove.
Are those your favorite animals?
Well, it comes from a famous quote from my godmother, Auntie Joyce. Matthew 23, he said, I've sent you into the world. You are going amongst wolves and blah, blah, blah. But be as meek as a dove and be as vigilant as a snake. Auntie Joyce, who was the first board chair of my company, said this to me around 2004. And she always reminds me of this. She's a very prayerful woman. And she tells me the field of politics is rough, and you must always be alert. But being alert doesn't come easy. You need the grace of God to remain alert. Because as a certain Godfather will say, don't
forget yourself.
Yes. If you are not careful, the pleasurables of life may make you forget. So I pray that Jah
will keep us all. Thank you so much.
Almighty God will keep us. And thank you, sir.
It's been a really, really revealing conversation. And I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you so much.
It was a rough day.
Yes.
Doing commission when I came, I had to attend to some other things. But I'm happy we are done.
I'm so happy. With patience, you can dissect the intestines of
But today, I don't remember the last time
you spoke about
I became very emotional and wept.
Yeah, you love that lady.
I hope that part is not shown on set. But show it. I don't mind.
You are a vulnerable and honest person.
Show it.
Yes.
Show it. I miss my sister.
I can see.
I miss P.
I can see.
She was such a lovely sister.
I can see.
My sister.
May she rest in perfect peace.
Oh, yes. Last Christmas, I went to lay a wreath.
When you lose people that you love, it's always
we're kids.
Yeah, but you still remember her. Yeah.
I still remember how beautiful she was.
Yeah.
You're
a handsome man, so I can imagine.
I take it as a great compliment. Thank you very much.
Leader, thank you so much. It's been a great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.